Yeah. Solar power calculator. I think we should give our politicians one. Every politician should get one of these, you know. Works in the sunlight every time. Even works in the shade. Look at this. Oh, solar power won't work in the shade when the sun's not shining, sort of thing. Oh God, these people thick or something. Yeah. What would Jesus do? That's right, up against the wall, bang, 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 just for stupidity alone, I think. Anyway, day 70. I don't know, we're halfway through the season or 1/3 way through the season. Depends on how long the season's going to be and what it's going to be like. Oh, I've noticed something, fellas. With the new peat there, the fresh peat, the brown wood, mixture of brown and white, I suppose. The little spots we've got here with the cyanophyta or Protonema cyanophyta seem to be inhibited by the use of the new peat. So the question is, that part of the problem? You know, people get good plants and then they, oh wow, has that caught something? It was open about half an hour ago. You know, they get a good plant and they pot them up with new peat, or they add a bit of new. You read little stories. Oh, I added a bit of fresh to it, or something like that. And I'm thinking, and the plants go downhill. Is that the reason? So the question is, we do know we get a lot of greening from a lot of cyanophyta from the whitewood or newspaper cellulose. We've got the idea that we probably have to put it in a granulated form, but now do we need to put the brown wood on the bottom and the white wood on the top? And I'm thinking, well, that doesn't sound so silly when you think of a bog. You know, you've got peat on the bottom, the brown and probably some white wood in there, and on the top you've got your sphagnum, which is your, you know, apparently sphagnum has no lignin in it, yet peat has lignin in it, and the amount of peat in the amount of lignin in the peat is proportional to its cation and anion exchanging capacity, so it's probably important. You know, in other words, its salt holding capacity, or salt index basically, is proportional to its lignin content. And though the original material that makes the peat, the sphagnum, apparently has no lignin in it, so where does the lignin come from? Is it actually some other micro plant in there, maybe cyanophyta or something similar? Well, it can't be Protonema because that's the initiator of the moss, so it can't be that because it has no lignin in the first place, the moss anyway. So if the moss has no lignin in it, the progenitor of the moss, the Protonema, well, that can't have any in it as well. Otherwise the sphagnum would have some in it. Yeah, so it's coming in from other plants, bog cottons and things like that. I don't know. I think it's more like the simplest thing is it comes in from cyanophyta growing in with the moss, I suppose. The fact you can make the moss go clear and white, I suppose, and magenta and things like that. Is that you're just washing out the cyanophyta, or are you actually changing the colour of the chromatophores in the cyanophyta? Anyway, I just thought I'd bring this to your attention. So do we, and then the next question is, do we want to mix the brown with the peat, the bark chip or whatever down the bottom with some sand, or do you want it straight? So you can get more, instead of having 1/3 down there mixed with your sand, making it anaerobic. Since it's actually down on the bottom of the pot, it's going to be anaerobic, I suppose. You could have it just pure peat down the bottom and just have your 1/3 newspaper cellulose granules and 2/3 sand on the top. That goes green, and then as you wash it, the green goodness of the cyanophyta or any waste materials, enzymes, anything that's coming out of the cyanophyta gets washed down to the brown material. Maybe that's when you're going to get a surprise, you're going to get a bit of a response. I don't know, but at day 70, I just thought I'd bring it to your attention that that might be an angle for you, and might explain some of these weird things that people are going, have suddenly had great success, everyone crowds around and thinking, oh, praise to God, praise to whatever. Yeah, and then next season, they pot it up with the new stuff and it just goes pear-shaped, and yeah. Everyone's in a commiseration mode sort of thing, so yeah. Anyway, this looks like it's going off, so I've got an idea now, fellas, of what could be going on. So I'm setting up more pots out in the back there, so hopefully by the end of the week. It's slow going, slow progress, but I'm pretty happy with this at the moment, considering yeah. You know, it's a shop bought, put it in, stabilised, almost instantaneous. It's now putting out shop bought like traps coming out straight on from being planted in there. I'm pretty happy, pretty chuffed, pretty impressed by how well we can now manipulate these shop bolts. Most shop bolts, as that bloke said on that other shop the other day, he said, you know, the ones that come down from Queensland, I didn't know they were coming down from Queensland. I thought they were coming across the border from Victoria. Perhaps as I said, the Victorian firms or companies have some sort of deal on with people up in the Northern Territory. Apparently they collapsed within about a month, but I failed to tell him that part of the secret is not to actually water the pots so you get water coming through the pots. You just keep them damp, and then they can last for a couple of months actually, and you can even have them in the shade too. So I don't know what they're putting on them, but anyway, we've got they're still growing here. So you can see that leaf there. This one's starting to make a move though, yeah. So as I said, I've set up one pot with a bark chip, peat and granulated newspaper cellulose, but as I said, we've just got an idea now that maybe even that is somewhat incorrect. Have you noticed this? I only noticed this yesterday, last night when I was watering. You know, the flower stalk was down about here and pointing to one side. It's now straight and it's about twice the size. Have you noticed that? So it's now straight and it's about twice as long now than it was when it had that sort of, it was kinking off to one side, remember that? Suddenly that kink's gone and it's, yeah, interesting. I don't know what that is. Still the cape is going really slow. Still don't know what the reason is why it's, but this one here with the zinc, I can get the camera around and get some sun on it, is still making a move. This one over here is sort of making a move sort of thing. Why the youngest plant there is the only one that's really doing well. The others are sort of almost looking like they're carking it. Don't know what's going on there, fellas. I've always had problems with iron. I've always said that they seem to be wanting to be iron deficient plants. And that's why we're introducing some of the molybdenum, so it sort of takes that sort of role, sort of a little bit aluminium, a little bit, you know, a little bit zincy, a little bit potassium-y, yeah, calcium, acts a bit like phosphate, blah blah blah, even the molybdate does sort of thing. It's somewhere, it's like a ballpark sort of, you know, element come compound sort of thing. Efficacious in it. Anyways, this one's still doing stuff out there, but it's only, as I said, only started. But when this sort of stuff's happening on the surface now, it's expanding. These patches are starting to get larger. But why they're in patches, I don't know. Would like to know. You know, any comments on the back of a postage stamp, postcard? Yeah, this one's putting up. Now 2 leaves are coming up, so there's another one coming up on the side there. I don't know if I can get the camera around here without pressing any buttons and doing anything. Get it out the sun. You can see there's another one down there. I don't know. Oh, it's hard, fellas, hard. It's always hard with you, Richard. I know. This is modern chemicals these days. Okay, I don't know. It's still alive. So far I haven't seen any real response from the counterwax around the outside, but I suppose you've got to be happy that they are actually, you know, the shop bolts are in and not dying and they're actually growing new leaves. But you know, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more progress from that. This one, I'm happy it's in, it's stabilised, but I need to buy a few more plants, I reckon, for fellas. You know, hopefully we'll get a movement from that fairly soon. But I suppose it has got a flower stalk, so you've got to cut it some slack. And I'm interested in this down here. You know, we might have an idea here, I don't know. Doesn't seem to be evaporating very quickly, so I'm wondering if you've got a pond or something and you want to slow the evaporation. It seems crazy, doesn't it? You know, I think, you know, that might be the way to go. I've heard of people putting, you know, old Coke bottles and things like that across the top, but you might have something that's even cheaper, I don't know. You know, just float some candles across the top, you know. They're white, they're reflective, and they float on the water, and maybe we might try some of that later on. And I'm sure it's not going to get hot enough in the water. We might try that on a 46-degree day, you know. Can it get hot enough to actually melt the candles when they're actually in the water? I don't know. Anyway, still seeing if we've got anything in these, and whether I'm going to plant any fly traps in these, I don't know. But, you know, just an idea, fellas. Just an idea. I think I've just done too much work too quickly. Oh yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm coming around with the core angle. Maybe it's going to impress me in a couple of weeks' time. I don't know. I was going to set up, as I said, one of these pots here and just put newspaper cellulose down to one side and coir or peat down to the other. But then again, having seen this, I'm in two minds about doing it now. I think we need to actually set up a pot where we actually put the peat down the bottom, or coir down the bottom, maybe bark chip down the bottom, and just have the newspaper cellulose and sand mix. Remember, granulated newspaper, not like this. It's been used. We've used boiling water on it to actually flex out the fibres or thing. No, we want it in like. I'll show you. I better show you. You won't understand otherwise. Get back to normal focus as we walk in. Oh. Okay. Yeah, some of these are still floating. They're very slow, some of these. But this thing here down here, what I'm saying is, for those who haven't been keeping up and just coming into this by accident, these ones where the actual newspaper, hang on, where's my bag of granules? No, where is it? Oh, I've lost it. I thought I had another bag. Don't tell me I used it all up. I don't think I used it all up. Couldn't have used it up. Nah, surely not. Oh, maybe I did. Couldn't have used it all up. Oh no, here it is. So what I'm really saying, fellas, if I can slowly but surely bring our plans together, is instead of putting hot water on this sort of thing and then mixing around with your sand and actually flexing out the fibres sort of thing, you just put it in there with your universal surfactant and it just sort of expands up there in there, and therefore you've got a warehouse, a little department store for the microorganisms to actually grow within, so they can actually build up in numbers, build up their enzymes, and they can actually attack it more easily, I suppose. And then also you've got the waste products that can flow out from that. And so it's like a little workhorse, work centre sort of thing, rather than if you spread the fibres out through the whole medium, they've got to attack the individual fibres. And so they've also got to cling on to the fibres. Whereas in here, if they can get inside in that little caterpillar type sort of arrangement, they're inside. So when I water the pot, they're inside. They've got a much better ability to actually stay where they are and to do their thing sort of thing. And then they can sit there and let the nutrients come into them or whatever, or waste products go out, and so on and so forth. But if they're on individual fibres spread throughout the pot, they've just got to take whatever that goes through. And there's, strength in numbers sort of thing. It's that sort of like communal sort of approach. So anyway, we'll see how we go. We lost that pink colour in the centre. That's not a good sign, fellas. Okay, we'll see how we go. But how's this one over here going? I don't know, fellas. Does that trap there, this one here, does that look like it's actually growing? Well, I mean, it's getting larger than it actually was. I've noticed sort of this effect in the past. You get these things and it's almost like the plants double their size. You know, like every cell in the plant is like doubled or something, but the overall shape and look of the plant is identical. It's just that everything else it's just somehow got bigger. I mean, what would they be putting on the plant to actually either not shrink them down, just make them stay a certain size in the pot? Some sort of hormone, and once you wash the hormone out, suddenly all the cells double in number? What would that hormone be? Somebody has bandied about things. What's it? G9, G14 or something? One of our friends down in Florida was bandied about these sort of numbers. I don't know where he got them from, but yeah. Anyway, that's about it. I think for today. Nothing much doing until I get some more plants in. But I'm making up another 2 batches, I think, maybe 3 eventually. So there'll be another 2 down there, maybe an extra one down there. But there's going to be some shifterooning on later in the season, because I think that sun's starting to move really fast. You know, by the third week of February, I reckon this sunlight is going to be out there somewhere, and we may not even have enough room to push them into the sun. Don't know, fellas. Or not for very long during the day. Anyway, that's about it. I just hope some of these, especially this calcium one, is going to actually flush properly. It could turn out to be a white elephant sort of thing. So yeah, it could be all a waste of time. But that look on the surface there, that looks interesting. So yeah, that one does look like it's flushing. So we might. And that one just slowly look like it's going down, so we might get some action from these before we get action from the bigger ones. I'll be able to put something in the small ones before I can put something in the bigger ones. But anyway, that's about it for today, for our day 70 I think it is, Bill, but over and out. See ya.